Hi there, for ExecuNet, I am Tony Vlahos. So I have a few questions for you. Are you beginning a job search and unsure where to start? Are you possibly frustrated with how long your search is taking and you really want to move things along? Maybe you're unhappy in your current role and considering leaving. If you answered yes to any of these, I'm positive my guest today will give you some clarity and some trusted direction. She is executive search firm consultant at Zaslow-Rethaber. And today we're going to go through a mailbag full of stuff, mail, emails, texts from people who, like you, are wondering how to do job search right. Annie, thank you for making time to talk to me today.
Absolutely. I'm happy to be here. It's one of my favorite topics.
Terrific. So let's kick things off with this first question. You must review hundreds of executive resumes. How many are true standouts, and what separates in your mind the good from the bad?
That's a great question. You know, time is money for all of us, and we're just buried in resumes on a daily basis. So I think probably the first thing we do is just take like a 30-second overview and aesthetics. If the formatting is off, God forbid if there's any grammatical or spelling errors, automatic no. Honestly, we're looking at ways to thin the herd to try to get to the pearls. So uh, if they can't get it right for the resume, they're not going to get to the finish line. So that's a definite out. Then we're looking for industry specific experience. And then we're looking at unique backgrounds that match our search. For example, if we're working with a startup, we love seeing someone that's worked with startups. If we have a situation where it's a turnaround situation and we really need a change agent, we love seeing that. And then third, I think it's so important for people to focus on highlighting their job accomplishments as opposed to job descriptions. Because that's I like to see record-breaking quarters, the past 11 quarters, President's Club, 18 years straight, whatever it is, but to focus on job accomplishments as opposed to job descriptions.
Mhm. So you see a lot of resumes. What's the single biggest mistake you see executives make on their resumes?
Oh, this is a good one, and it drives me nuts. And after recruiting for 27 years, Tony, honestly, I still get shocked and I see them every single day. And executives make this mistake more than anybody, and it totally kicks them out of the running. You've been doing this a long time. Can you guess? Do you have any idea what it would be?
Oh, okay. So I'm guessing they're not clear about what they really want. And so they just jam a lot of jobs and things they've done into it, hoping that one of those positions will stick. So I don't think it's a resume problem. It's manifested in the resume, but I think it betrays a lack of clarity and focus around what you really want.
That's a great point. That's the shotgun approach. You can't be great at everything, but that's not the answer.
That's
The
not it.
single biggest mistake, and it blows my mind, they don't put city and state on their resume.
Oh, wow. Okay. Tell me about that.
And when I ask them, why don't you have city and state? They always say they're willing to move anywhere for the right opportunity. And they think that having that open positions them to be eligible for more opportunities. But it's the opposite because applicant tracking systems, which everyone uses these days, you need that information in there to be able to log them in as a potential candidate. And when they don't have city and state, the vast majority of ATSs won't even accept the resume. And
Wow.
even it's so much better to put under the name, under the objective, to say willing to relocate for the right opportunity.
Yeah.
Please, everyone, put city and state. It drives me nuts. Every single day we get resumes, and without that pertinent information, it's impossible to make a good match.
Ah, well, that's revelation. So we talk here at Executive, as you know, and to a lot of people who say, look, I'm pretty clueless here. I haven't needed to do this in a really long time. I almost said forever, but it might as well be. And I don't know how to go about looking for a new job. So if someone is serious about landing a role and doesn't know where to begin, what do you recommend is the first thing they do?
That's a good question. So I think giving some serious thought as to where they want to end up. Smart people, strategic people make career moves based on three things. One being where the role is going to position them 1, 3, 5 years down the line. Two is quality of life. And from my seat, that encompasses everything from who they're working for, who they're working with, commuting requirements, travel requirements, if they're working remotely or in the office, yada, yada. And then third being comp. And third, in comp is certainly an important part of the equation, but it should never be the most important part. So really getting your head around where you want to be, and then investing in a professional resume writer, because you only have one chance to make a first impression, knowing you're going to customize that potentially for different jobs, but getting a good resume written, reaching out to recruiters within the industry, reputable, and sharing that you're quietly putting out some feelers and letting them know the types of opportunities you want to be alerted to. And then reaching out to ExecuNet with your executive coaches and career strategists. We've sent a lot of people your way, and the feedback has been overwhelmingly positive that that you can really help someone drill down on what they want, because you have to know where you want to go in order to get there. So those, I think, would be the top things that I would suggest someone do right off the bat to get their ducks in a row to be able to make a positive move.
Really good advice. So let me go into the mailbag and let me just read a question that I got from a CFO who was just beginning her search. And she writes, Dear Annie, I want to be proactive about my job search and network with people, but how do I get hiring managers' attention without pestering them? Good question.
That is a good question. So I think LinkedIn is a terrific way to engage with hiring managers. Not everyone's on it. I think a good first step is to look them up on LinkedIn, and you can go to the activities tab and you can see if they've posted anything or commented, and then engage with them and like and comment on their posts. And if they've commented on something, like and comment on their comment, but engaging them that way can get on their radar screen. I think also probably like, I don't think anything more frequent than once a quarter, but reaching out and saying something of value. You don't want to just, just touching base. No, but saying something like, congratulations on a record-breaking quarter. So exciting to hear that you just acquired ABC. And then super short. And I'm still learning this, is one of my biggest struggles. So do as I say, not as I do, but short, concise emails. Oftentimes people want to say so much, and I get probably 100 vendor emails a week. And the ones that are long, I just delete. The shorter they are, the better chances that I'm going to read it. And so I think short, super concise emails, just something of value, so they know you're not sending this to 1,000 different companies, but excited to hear that ABC just landed, whatever, some industry buzz, something. And then super short paragraph. With my 28 years in paints and coatings, I really believe I'd be a strong contributor to your team. Please let me know if you can ever use my services, something. But I think that's the best way to do that.
Yeah, so short and sweet, it's personalized. And it's a dialogue opener. It's not sort of a declaration of independence. It's just sort of
Exactly. I'm going to use that. That's good,
cool.
Tony. But yeah,
Okay.
short and sweet, so that they know it's not boilerplate and specifically aimed to them.
Right.
Yep.
Okay, let's take another one from the mailbag. Let's see. This question was sent to me by a VP of sales, and he asks, Dear Annie, how do I get the attention of an executive recruiter on LinkedIn? I think you partially answered this, but if you want to riff a little bit more on this. So what you've addressed is once you have their attention, you can engage in a dialogue with short, personalized communications. But think the question goes to, I don't even have their attention. How do I do that? What are some of the channels or vehicles that I could use on LinkedIn to just get their attention to begin with?
So again, it amazes me. Probably, I don't know, 20% of recruiters aren't active on LinkedIn, and I'm not quite sure how they get done what they want to get done without it because it's such a huge platform for us. But go to the activities, see if they're on LinkedIn. If they're not active, don't bother. But if they are active on either posts or comments, contribute, engage with thoughtful dialogue. And then also don't forget, you can message people on LinkedIn. And that's just a different platform. I mean, my email just hundreds every day, but oftentimes someone will message me through LinkedIn and it just catches my attention quicker potentially than an email. And I think people, respond to different platforms, and I'm all about figuring out which way they respond the best, whether it's calling, texting, emailing, LinkedIn messaging, but I think catching their attention generally is liking and commenting, engaging with them on LinkedIn, on their comments and posts.
So in this day and age when there's so much noise and there's so much competition for attention, how do you as an executive recruiter get the attention of talent? Because at times it's the executive who is maybe they're in role and they're focused on their goals and objectives at the job, but they're not really thinking too heavily or too much about finding their next great next. How do you get their attention if you desperately want to find the best person for a position that you're being asked to fill or just source?
That's a great question. I think, again, multiple platforms. We subscribe to all kinds of really cool technology that allows us to send out mass text messages that are personalized and customized, mass automated voicemails that are personalized and customized, emails, the same thing, LinkedIn messages, and giving a very pointed message. We have our search methodology. We give people the gift of actively listening. I sat in a bullpen for the first 3 years of my recruiting career, and I heard recruiters all day long calling, "Hey, Tony, I've got a great position for you. Let me tell you about it." And they never had any idea if the guy was recently divorced and just wanted to make as much money as humanly possible and travel was no option, or if his wife was pregnant with twins and he didn't want to travel at all. And so we really have a different approach, and we have a very passive approach. And when we reach out on multiple platforms, again, we hit them with, email, calling, voicemail, text messaging, occasionally LinkedIn messaging. And we just ask what types of opportunities, if any, they would want us to bring to their attention. What would it take to get them to switch teams? Do they have any pain points? What's their biggest motivator? Do they see themselves with their current company 1, 3, 5 years down the line? And then at that point, some people just, it's a family business. They've been there forever. They have 5 more years before retirement, whatever. They're just not interested. But once someone shares that they would be open to making a move for these specific opportunities, then we add that to the database. And either we don't have anything right now, but we circle back when we do, or sometimes, lightning strikes and we get lucky and we say, actually, we have something that may be a potential match. Let us tell you about it. And then we go into the specifics. And I think you have a lot more credibility once you've done a needs analysis and you've taken the time to find out what someone is looking for before you can ever say you have a potential solution.
Right, right. Much as we tell the executives to think spherically about what they're after, you want the same for your clients as well. Yeah.
Exactly.
Cool.
Yep.
We see still, and we're talking people at the top of the org chart, of course, coming to us at ExecuNet and saying, I just want to look at the job postings. So what would you like? And I know we'll say this, and yet, that mindset is a very difficult thing to change. But what would you love for executives at the top of the chart to understand about how to use job postings, job listings, if at all? What's the real value of doing that for a good part of your day if you're in search?
So I think there's a lot of value in job postings because they alert you to openings. And so people should set up alerts for specific companies they're keeping an eye on, set up alerts on Indeed for the types of opportunities they want to be alerted to. But once they get that alert, you can do so much more to tilt the deck in your favor rather than just hitting the button and applying to a job posting. I would suggest people do some homework and figure out who the decision maker is going to be, who's the hiring manager, and who's that hiring manager's manager. And then reach out on LinkedIn, follow them, get on their radar, like and comment on their posts, on their comments. If you can find out their email, send them a quick email, short, concise, just talking about, so excited to hear you guys are looking for a VP of sales. You can attach your resume and send it to them directly. You can change the subject line. When we run an ad, we probably, at maybe a $300,000 a year base, we'll get 1,000 resumes a day.
Wow, a day.
A day. And so going through them, and keyword matches is a huge thing. The subject line will say 98% match. And you'll look, and I got one just this morning, high school coach, and he showed a 98% match on a CFO role because he knew about keywords and he had matched the keywords on the job requirements, and he was not remotely and it's just such a waste of time. I'm sure it's probably his kid did it for him, but keywords is a big deal. So if you're going to apply to a job posting, look at the mandatory requirements. And again, it's a total waste of time when people lie and fabricate. It's just, there's no point to it. But assuming you really do have the skills, take the time to make sure some of those keywords in the mandatory requirements are in your resume, so it will pick it up. So it will show 98% match, whatever. You can change the subject line. You can say, your search for a VP of sales is over, 100% matched. You can change the subject line. But doing that, changing the subject line, reaching out to the hiring managers directly, at the very least on LinkedIn, getting on their radar. And then if you want to send it to them directly, some people like it, some don't. But as long as you don't pester them, I think just one time would be fine.
Yeah. I love your mind on this stuff. So let's go right back into the mailbag and let's see. So this note comes to us from an enroll executive, and it reads, Dear Annie, I'm feeling very blah about my job, but I can't put my finger on the problem. So this is someone who's enroll and not really feeling their job. I think I want to quit and move on, but I don't know. I don't want to make a rash decision. So I've been thinking, how do you know when it's time to quit and go? How do you know?
That's such a profound question. And, it's so important. The older I get, life is so short. And, no matter how you rank faith, family, and health, career is always going to be on the top 4 for quality of life. And I just think life is way too short not to enjoy your job. I am lucky enough to love my job. I always tell my husband, if we won the lottery, I would still recruit. I really do. I get such satisfaction on both sides. And we go on vacations and I can't stay away from checking on things. And I love so many parts of it. And I would wish that for everybody. And I know that that's probably not realistic for everybody, but I think everyone should have a baseline of enjoying their work. And if it's not your dream job now, at least be working towards where you want to go. Because again, strategically, you want to make a career decision based on where you want to be 1, 3, 5 years down the line, quality of life and comp. So if it's not your dream job, figuring out what your dream job is, and then focus on going about and getting that experience, that background that will position you for that. But honestly, when we get these questions, we refer them to ExecuNet, your career strategists. And I've had many people come back and say it was extremely helpful to really sit down with a professional that has the time to invest, to really talk about, again, where you want to go, because you have to know where you want to go in order to get there. Also really encourage people not to resign until they've landed another job for
Yeah.
so many reasons. But I do think everyone, honestly, they owe it to themselves to enjoy their work. And if you're dreading Monday morning, if you don't like going to bed at night knowing what you're going to be doing the next day, you're going to blink and life's over. And I just think everyone should really challenge themselves if they're not in a position that they truly enjoy and get some type of satisfaction from, to make a change.
Mm. And it's interesting because listening to you as your sounding board, when you said, I love what I do, I would do it even if I won the lotto. That lottery, that tells me she does, in fact, have that genuine passion for what she does. So I, as an outside listener, can can confirm what you're feeling. And I think that's part of the value of talking to someone like a
So true.
strategist, like a coach, right? Because
It's so
often you
true.
say it, but you might not hear it the way that someone else on the outside listening in would hear it.
It's so true.
Okay.
It's so true. But I just, the years are going by faster and faster. And I just think it's such a disservice to people when they really don't like their job. And it's crazy. I get calls all the time from people, and they've been making six figures for years, and something's happened. They hate their job, whatever the reason. And they say, I have to find, they lost their job. I have to get another job within a month, or we're going to have to sell my wife's car. If I don't find it, equitable pay in 3 months, we're going to, be foreclosed on. And it's just so crazy, because I just think people should really give serious thought. We all spend hours mindlessly scrolling on social media and different things, but really challenging yourself to give a real strong look at what you're getting, what you're spending the majority of your day doing, and if you enjoy it, and if not, what would you enjoy, and then go out and find that. And if you can't, if you're not eligible for that perfect job today, at least start working towards becoming eligible for that job.
Mhm. Absolutely. Let's shift gears and talk about the executive level interview, please. How is it different from a mid-level or a manager level interview? What are some of the things that you've noticed that you wish more executives understood before they lean into that critical moment in their search?
I think it's the same as everything else, except more of it. They're going to look at they're going to do a deep dive on the company's history, the background, the financials. They're going to look at Glassdoor to look at reviews. They're going to look at all the decision makers, and at the C level, they're going to be looking at board members if it's a public company, and do all their work. And then they really need to invest in an executive coach. We get When we prep people for the interview, we get so much resistance at like SVP and C level, because they always come back with, I've been interviewing for 25 years. But no, there's a massive difference between sitting on the side of the interviewer as opposed to the interviewee. And, Meryl Streep still rehearses before she gets on the screen. And I think it's so important for executives, regardless of how long they've been in the business world and how much they think they know. It's a game changer to switch hats and not be the interviewer, but to be the interviewee. And it's honestly the best money they could spend is to invest in an hour or two with an executive coach to help them. They do, I know you guys do all kinds of things in terms of videotaping and giving them feedback and role playing. And there's such benefit to that, because no one is too good to rehearse.
So when one candidate gets the role to the exclusion of everyone else, what in your mind is the reason for that? I know there are probably many, but the primary reason, as you've seen it, is what?
Culturally, culturally a good match. It's the number one reason people resign. The number one reason people don't get promoted up. Cultural match is critical. Second to that, uh, not only industry specific, but experience for the specific role. We're just doing a search for a VP of sales for paints and coatings. but it's a turnaround situation. They really need a change agent. So having someone that has had that specific type of experience is a huge plus. The best indicator of future behavior is past behavior. So finding someone that's done it and done it successfully in the past dramatically increases the odds of success. And third is enthusiasm. If all else is equal, the person that's most enthusiastic for the role is going to get it. Human nature, people want to hire someone that wants to work with them.
Yeah. 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 It really does come down to those things. You're right.
Yeah.
Um, Let me take another one from the mailbag. Dear Annie, writes a CTO on the West Coast. When and how do I discuss my salary expectations? This one I'll tell you eats at people because sometimes, as you know, that question arises during the initial phone interaction with the recruiter, where a C-level executive asks, "So what do you want?" And they don't know how to handle that if they touch it at all. So, what do you advise we do in that situation?
And this is one of my favorite topics, and I talk about it every day. The longer someone can put off putting a price on their candidacy, the better. For both in terms of getting the highest offer they can, and also, again, strategically. I don't think it's fair for candidates to put a price on their candidacy before they fully explore the role, before they know strategically how it's going to position them 1, 3, 5 steps down the line, what their quality of life is going to be, and where it's going to position them. So I think that that's really important. So they shouldn't be putting a price on their candidacy until they fully explore the role. If someone was asking me to create Excel spreadsheets all day, every day, my ask for my yearly salary would be a heck of a lot higher than if I was going to feed baby bottles to orangutans. But the fact is, I have a monthly overhead that I've got to hit. So the longer you can put it off, the better. We always encourage candidates to just stay open when they're writing on applications. And if they're openly asked during the interview, they should always just say that they're making a decision based on where it's going to position them, and quality of life and compensation is third on the list. And they want to make sure those top 2 boxes are checked before they can put a price on their candidacy. And that protects the candidate. Plus, it positions them to get the best offer possible. Because if you go in saying you want at the top of the range or above the range, the whole time that hiring manager is going to think, I really like Tony, but he's 20% higher than everyone else I'm talking to. And so it's an uphill battle. And so don't put a price tag on your head that's going to be considered a negative. Let them, we always say, let them fall in love before you tell them what kind of ring you need.
I love that. Right, right. So if
Go
they got
through the process. Go through the process. Let them eat the steak before you give them the check.
right,
Sell them on your fit, your vision, your abilities, and then let them get excited. I think we've got this job filled. Tony's going to be the rainmaker we need. He's perfect. I think he would get along with everyone. Da 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 da. And then at the end, if it's in the range, you're golden. If you're out of the range, you can fairly say, I've really taken my time to evaluate the opportunity. I feel I'm a strong match. It's everything I'm looking for. Da, 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 da. However, my monthly overhead precludes me for accepting anything under X amount. If we can get there, I would accept in a heartbeat. So I just think it positions you so much better as a candidate to postpone putting an exact figure for as long as possible.
yeah. I love that strategy because it's a chance to get to know me and assess my worth to you and the organization. At that point, it's kind of a no-brainer. Well, of course, Tony's worth it because we've already talked to them and we understand that they are going to deliver against the investment we're making in them. So I love it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And honestly, companies don't want people that are strictly focused on the dollars, because if that's the case, you're always going to be up for the highest bidder. If someone offers you 20 grand more, you're going to jump ship. And so by positioning it that way, you're also letting the hiring managers know this is a long-term decision for you. and you're not strictly focused on the dollars. You're focused on career path and quality of life. And again, that encompassing everything. And once you're going to be very methodical and strategic, and once those top two boxes are checked, then you can look at comp. And it just it telegraphs an entirely different message to hiring managers, and it puts you in a much better position to get the most you possibly can on the offer.
Terrific. Annie, thank you so much. I loved spending all this time with you. You've answered all these great questions from our audience of executives who, as you know, come to us every day looking for how do I get from point A to point B. And folks, if you took away a few nuggets here today, I think it will make your journey better and faster even, and something that will be enjoyable to a degree. You'll find joy in the journey, not just the arduous nature of what a job search can be. So Annie, thank you. And I look forward to continue our conversation in the future.
Well, thank you so much. I hope it was helpful.
Surely. Okay.